Olá, amigos runners! Tudo bem com vocês? Bora para mais uma live. Live de número 542. O estagiário convida, canal Run, Robert Run. Como vocês sabem, sempre trazendo o melhor conteúdo da nossa ultramaratona e as personalidades que fazem esse esporte que a gente tanto ama. Bom, galera, já faz um bom tempo que eu quero trazer esse atleta aqui para o canal para a gente conversar um pouquinho com ele. 10 vezes finisher da BR 135, né? Um atleta aí que está sempre presente em todas as edições da BR. So, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Chris Roman, speaking to Brazil. Good evening, my friend.
Good evening. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Pleasure is all mine.
It's our first time talking to Brazil.
It is. It is. Absolutely. I'm very, very gracious for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Well, my friend, as it's your first time talking here in the channel, I would like to you to introduce yourself about your running career. How did you start in the running?
Yeah. So I'm a physician, and when I used to run a lot when I was in high school and college. And when I started training after medical school, I sort of stopped the running and got out of it a little bit. And then I changed career paths in medicine to a different type of residency and decided to start running again. So I started running marathons again as an adult in my early, late 20s, I guess. And then I wanted to try to qualify for Boston, and I qualified for Boston, and then I ran a race. There was a year that Dean Karnassus was running 50 marathons in 50 days in the US. I don't know if you remember that, but it was in like 2008. It was through North Face. And one of the races was in Kentucky, and I signed up for it and I ran with him. And we talked, and he said, "You should run more than a marathon." So I signed up for a 50K, and then I signed up for a 100K, and then I signed up for a 100-mile race. And 3 years later, I was running Badwater, and it kind of went from there.
Ultramarathon, when you start, it's like it's difficult to go back to marathons and other
It's
running.
a very slippery slope. Once you get
Yes.
on, you keep going. And it is that way. And that's what brought me to Brazil in the first place, because I had run a bunch of ultra marathons, and I had also run a multi-day event where I ran the length of the Erie Canal up in New York in the United States, and it was 363 miles over 7 days.
Mhm.
And after I did that, a friend of mine, Tony Portera, and another mutual friend who Jerem Thurston, contacted me, and they had run the Brazil 135 race. And Tony wanted to run the race again, but he also wanted to run the entire Camino de Fe.
Mhm.
So we decided to, and he contacted me because I had done the long run in Pennsylvania or New York, and said, would you do this with me? So in 2011, we ran the Brazil 135, but we
Mhm.
also ran the whole length of the Camino de Fe. So we became pilgrims of the path in the middle of it. It was a pretty amazing time. It was a lot of fun.
So you find out about the Brazil 135 through Jason.
Through Jerem, yeah.
Jaron,
And
Jaron.
Jerem, yeah,
Yeah.
through Jerem and Tony Portera.
Mm.
And that's how I met Mario. And the rest is history. And I've known Mario ever since, and we've become really, really, very, very good friends. And he lives in Florida, so I see him from time to time outside of Brazil. Also good friends with his family and his daughter and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's become a
And
family.
okay, for sure. And did you do Badwater before Brazil 135?
I did Badwater twice after my first Brazil 135. So I did my first Brazil 135 in 2011, and then I did Badwater the same year, later that year in 2011 and in 2012.
Okay, okay. And did you find out about the Brazil 135 to qualify to Badwater also?
Yeah, I Badwater was the race I always wanted to run.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything about Brazil. And Brazil, and the Camino de Fe, that was very, I wasn't aware of it and at all.
Hmm.
And so it was always about getting into Badwater and running Badwater, but that was sort of, the mythical race of ultra marathons, right? Is Badwater 135. But, interestingly enough, the Brazil 135 is a much more difficult race. So, and that is a fact. It is
Hmm.
a much more difficult race. Uh, it's just more challenging for sure.
Yes. At the most part of the athletes that come here in the channel, they always say about this, because the Brazil 135 has a difficult route, a most difficult route than Badwater. But for instance, the Europeans, they have some difficult to do Badwater because of the heat. I
Yes.
I interviewed Ivan Penalba and his wife, and Ivan said to me about the terrible heat in Badwater.
Yeah, that's the hard part of Badwater. It's not the course.
Mhm.
It's hydration and heat. Because the first um 42 miles or so of that course, whether it's run during the day or at night, either way, is incredibly hot. And what happens is people underestimate their need for hydration, and very often they get behind before they know it, and they have a lot of difficulties with it, and it just catches up to you very fast.
Mhm. The people say that they don't feel that they are sweating, that they are
Well,
dehydration in
they're
Badwater.
not, because it's dry, right? Because it's so dry. There's no humidity.
Mhm.
But I think what most people don't realize is the air in Death Valley is so dry that just by breathing, like, you don't have to be running, you don't have to be walking, just standing still. Every time you take in a breath, you're dehydrating, because you're using water in your system to moisten your lungs, because the air that you're breathing is so dry.
Mhm.
So people just underestimate that part of it. And you literally can dehydrate standing still in Death Valley. And it's not about the sweating, it's just not. It's hot, and it feels hot, and the dry heat feels really hot, but you don't feel like you're losing fluids, but you are.
Mhm. Yes, when I interviewed the race organizer from Badwater, he said that you don't need to go to Death Valley and do some training. You just need to stand still in there to acclimate.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. And I think, people who do, not necessarily the people who always do the best there, but people who have an advantage are people that live in places like I do, in climates like I do in Florida, where it's very humid. And my body is very used to just sweating and losing fluids, and it's not even being used to losing it, but being able to accommodate taking it in, because I can drink a significant amount of fluids, and sometimes people don't process that when they try to drink too much, or they try to eat too much, and they just have trouble with it. But I'm so used to drinking, high volumes of fluid when I train, that my body's kind of used to it.
Mhm. The weather conditions in Florida, it's similar with the Brazil 135.
It's the same. So the
It's the
summer here I live in Jacksonville, Florida, which is northern Florida. So the summer here is pretty much the summer of Brazil. It's sort of 80 to 90 Fahrenheit, and humid every day. So it's
Mhm.
very similar to what it is there in January. And sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't, same kind of thing.
Hmm. So weather it's not a big problem for you in Brazil 135.
Weather, no. Hills, yes. I live where I live. Where I live, it's flat. There are no hills, like no hills. And the only way that people train for hills in Florida is they run up and down bridges, and they do what we call bridge repeats, where they go up and around bridges or up and back on bridges, and that's literally the only way to get elevation, unless you want to go to a football stadium or somewhere and run up and down the stairs.
Hmm.
It's flat.
Hmm. And to train to Brazil 135, you do this bridge training.
I do some of it. This year I did something new, which I haven't done in the past, which is I carried a rucksack with that I wore when I trained, and sometimes when I ran, and sometimes when I walked, that carried 30 pounds
Hmm.
on my back, and which is what, like 15 kilograms or something like that. On my back, and that sort of helps and it helps sort of upper, and it helps when you're climbing the hill. Helped me this year climbing the hills, or at least it felt like it.
Hmm. And do you use this like treadmills to train also with some steep?
I use stairmasters sometimes. Yeah, the stair climbers, because they're for Brazil, they're great because I mean they can be, you can make them very difficult and very, you can put them on a very high thing, and anybody who spent a decent amount of time on a stair climber knows they're probably the least fun exercise in the world.
Hmm.
They can be very difficult, but it's somebody once told me the best way to train for Brazil 135 is just get on a stair climber an hour a day, and just go at a really really high elevation rate, and a really high rate, and which is actually good advice, to tell you the truth, because I think Brazil is more about strength and endurance than it is about running. I mean, the
Hmm.
faster people are always fast, but ultimately, when you go up and down a mountain enough times, the muscle just gets sore.
Hmm. Yes, I think the same. You need to do some weightlifting stuff to the climbs, and
Yeah,
let's say train some uh, some quick walk that I forgot now the word to say,
like
but
power walk, or yeah.
yes, yes, power walk, yes, this.
Yeah, that's, walking is something that's very, very underestimated in ultras, is that you can make up a really good amount of time if you walk very fast, and you can lose a lot of time if you walk very slow. So if you think about it, if you're walking at a 15-minute pace or faster, it just you can actually you can make some decent mileage by doing that, and the same if you go very, very slow, your race can get a lot longer.
Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. This is something that I this year I am training more the power walking, at
Yeah,
least to 1 day per week doing this, because
it's
on
good.
March I will face an ultramarathon here in Brazil in the south part, 200 217 kilometers with 6,000 elevation gain,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then I will need to do this power walk also to train.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's very helpful.
Hmm.
It's a good skill.
Before Brazil 135, you train how many months before Brazil 135? Just specific to Brazil.
Probably 3 or 4 months.
Hmm.
3 or 4 months.
And how many my wage per week?
Well, I used to run a lot more. I used to run probably 120 miles a week. I don't do that anymore. I run probably more like 50 to 60 miles a week, which is not ideal, I don't think. But I'm older and lazier, and and so maybe I don't train as hard as I used to. But I used to. I mean, I think in order to really excel really well, you need to be running 100 plus miles a week and competitively. And and it's not just the running, you need to do all of the above. So, cross train and tempo work. So, some speedy runs and some slower runs and some longer runs and shorter runs. And I think all of them are very good. I've learned over the years that, we're doing some workout on a track and doing all those kind of things. It makes a big difference, to add all the different sort of different makeups in your workout.
Hmm. Yes, with the experience, you sometimes notice that you don't need to do a lot of mileage, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Brazil is it's a very mental race too, because it's just, I think the word that I've heard over and over again from everyone I always ask about it is relentless. It never stops. Every time you turn, there's another hill, and every time you come up a hill, you go up another hill, and then you find another hill and another hill, and the hills
Yes.
get longer, and then they get harder, and the second half of the race is harder than the first half of the race, and it's just it's relentless.
Hmm.
And I think if you're not mentally, okay, you can really get uh just get discouraged, with how difficult it is.
This was one of the questions that I put here in my script. Here in Brazil, we used to say that the mental part in an ultramarathon corresponds like 70% and
Yeah.
30% the physical. Do you agree with this? With this?
Yeah, I think it's somebody told me the quote goes back and forth who came up with it, but that it's 90% mental and the other 10% is in your head.
Hmm.
So it's almost 100% mental to some degree. I think it's just the mental part of it is incredibly important.
Hmm.
As ultra marathons, like anything, have gotten more popular over the last 10 or 15 years, the degree of athleticism has increased significantly. So there are faster and faster people with more incredible athletic ability. There are better athletes, I think, to some degree, running these races than there used to be. So there's a lot of athletic skill, but the average person, it's more a mental feat than it is a physical feat. Because I mean, that's at least it is for me.
Hmm. For me too, because sometimes I think it's like the mental is 100%. You don't
Yeah,
have physical. You don't have physical.
yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Yes, my friend. It's not. It's what I think also. My friend, and now I would like to know about your Brazil 135 history, because you said to me you started in 2011. It was your first edition, and after this edition, what you thought about Brazil 135? What why Brazil 135 is so special for you?
Um, so I fell in love with the race at the beginning, and the first year was very special because we ran the entire Camino de Fe, the pilgrimage path to Aparecida. And so, not only did we do the race, but we stopped at the cathedrals along the way, and we took our passports and we went to Aparecida and to the cathedral and the grotto, and we got our pilgrimage certificates, and it was just a very special experience in general, more than just the race itself. And so I kind of fell in love with the Camino de Fe, and I also, as you know, Mario, he's just infectious. And he's always smiling, he's always happy, he's, come back, come back, come back. And and then again, as I we talked about before we got on here, the Brazilian people, they're the best. They're just simply the best. They are kind, they are generous, they are gracious. The atmosphere at the Brazil 135 is unlike any other race I've ever seen. And in the sense that I mean the camaraderie between the runners and the crews, and the ability for people to encourage other runners, other crews, the ability for other crews to help other runners. If you literally come up to a crew person and you need something, they will give you anything they have,
Mhm.
anything. If you need a Coke, they'll give you the last Coke they have, even if their runner won't have one, they'll give it to you, and they'll find a way to get another one. And it's just there's just this overwhelming sense of community and encouragement.
Mhm.
And since I did the first one, I came back a few years later and did a second one. And then I did the entire Camino de Fe a second time, and partially a third time. And I was at the edition when Mario did the 175 when it went to Campo de Jordo, which was
Mhm.
a whole nother event. And it's just it always changes a little bit. It's never the same, right? It's the race, the course changes, something changes, sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't. It's equally loving and miserable at the same time every time I do it.
Yeah.
And every time I do it, I say I'm never coming back. It's too hard. And I come back again. And it's really a testament to Mario, um, to the path of faith, and to the Brazilian people,
Mm.
because it's just special. It's a very special race.
Yes, the I am laughing here because Brazil 135 every year that you go to do, it's different. You will
Yes.
find something different in there, and you never imagine what will happen. I did
Yeah.
3 times Brazil 135, and the 3 times were very different from the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have like thunderstorms or some roads with a lot of mud, and
Sometimes it rains a lot, sometimes it rains a little, sometimes it's uh, one year I ran the race, and David Green, the other American, you probably know David, but he's done the race I think 11 times now. And we both ran the race separately in different times.
Mhm.
And I in 135 miles, I think it rained for me about 20 minutes the entire race. And when I talked to him after the race, he said during his race, it rained about 90% of his race, just because he was in different places at different times.
Yes.
And, for me, it was dry, and for him, it was rain.
Mm. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. I remember in 2022 when I tried to do the 8 miles. I was a DNF in that time, and in the going to Andradas, it had a thunderstorm, and
Uh-huh.
then the sun came, and then during the night it started again the lightnings, and then when I was in the Dona Natalina, it
Yeah.
started it again the thunderstorm, and it was like this
Yeah.
heat, sun, thunderstorm. It's like this. It's crazy, crazy, totally crazy. And
Yeah.
I was DNF because of that, because back there I was not so experienced. I didn't take care of my foot, and
Yeah.
I have some problems with blisters back there. But
Well, at night, it's very difficult too, because, at night with no light, and when it's muddy, it's almost impossible. I mean, almost impossible. I think 2 or 3 years ago, it was raining so hard during parts of the race. There was one part that I was at night, and there was a very, very steep downhill, probably 1 kilometer down a very, very steep downhill. And it
mhm,
was it was mud probably up to like my mid ankle, and slippery and muddy and like this. And
mhm.
it took me probably an hour to go a kilometer, because it was just I couldn't see. I kept falling. It was so muddy and so slippery, and you just
Yes.
and that's when that's when you look up in the sky and you curse Mario's name, and you're like, Mario, this race is so bad.
Yes, yes.
But if you can't find the joy in it, then you can't find anything,
Mm.
and you have to be able to you just have to be able to let it go. You have to be able to find some sort of humor in the insanity.
Yes, I think this edition that you are talking about is the same that we do in 2023.
Yeah, 23.
Yes, remember we had to cross the fence because of the mud.
Yeah, I
And I said,
remember.
yes, yes, it had a lot of mud. It was impossible to any car to pass, and us also, and we had
Yeah,
to cross the fence.
yeah. It's insane. It's crazy, and it's amazing how long it can take you to go 200 or 300 meters, because
Mhm.
you just have to go around the mud or the whatever, and 5 minutes turns into almost an hour sometimes. It's crazy.
Mhm. And to the support crew also, it's crazy because they need to divert routes and do
Oh yeah.
to other parts.
Yeah, well, I drove this year, before the race. Rodney and our whole crew, we drove from Aguas to Pico de Gavio,
Ah, okay.
and back, and Rodney driving, and I'm thinking, I'm so glad I'm not in this car during the race. It seems like it's a lot easier to be on the road walking or running than it would be to be in that car, because it's incredibly uncomfortable. It's it's very difficult. It's a lot easier to be a runner than it is to be a crew member often. The amount of effort and sleeplessness and everything that they go through. I don't think people realize how difficult. The times that I've been on crew for people during these races, I have
Mhm.
found actually more difficult than running the race.
Yes, I simply don't know sometimes how how our driver can go to that steep roads.
Yeah.
I will tell you a funny story. Let me just share my screen with you. Uh, this car here in Brazil.
Oh yeah. It's the best car for the Camino de Fe.
Yes, yes, it's the
The
best
best
car.
car.
Yes. The funny story. Remember last year when Mario changed the course from Águas da Prata and did like a dragon in the
Yes,
course,
I do.
and
And the driver got stuck in his Volkswagen.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
he
I
got stuck.
passed him.
He tried to go down the trail.
Yes, I
But
saw that.
yes, but before the ultramarathon, I did a training in this new course to disclose it here in my channel to the ultra runners, and I did this training, and I went up the Pico do Gavião, and when we got in the peak, it started to rain, and to
Oh,
go down the peak we needed to go in one of this car, and
oh,
it was very crazy. I was afraid because it was like in a thunderstorm and going downhill in the Pico do Gavião,
yeah.
and this kind of car, it doesn't have conditioning air or something like that. You need to go with cleaning the windshield.
That's funny.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, it was like it was crazy. I have a video about that, and I will share with you this video
Yeah,
also.
that'd be great. I would
Yes,
love it.
yes, but this car is one of the best to do the Camino da Fé.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And my friend, what was the hardest edition for you? The most
The
difficult.
hardest edition was the 175.
Hmm.
When Mario had to extend it to Campo de Jordo.
Ah, okay.
That was the hardest edition.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know this or not, but so in classic Mario, so the last part of the Camino de Fe that goes into Campo de Jordo, I think the last 10 or 20 kilometers are on the road. And Mario did not want the Brazil 175 to
Hmm.
finish on the road, so he diverted it through a trail,
Ah, okay.
and he marked the trail. But he marked the trail with blue arrows that you couldn't see at night.
Hmm.
So
Understood.
all the runners that came through at night got lost. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And it was difficult. And because the 175, it's just more time on your feet, you're awake longer. I think I hallucinated more. Just everything was more difficult. And the Camino past Luminosa is very difficult. The hill of the broken leg, and it's a very difficult part of the Camino de Fe.
Hmm. Yes, this part I don't know. I just know to Paraisópolis.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's beautiful past it, but it's very difficult.
mhm. Yes, I can imagine. Mario always say about this Brazil 135 that went to Campos do Jordão. He say that this was the confusion race.
It was just that's a nice way to put it. Yes.
Yes, and he doesn't want to remember about that race.
No, it's good. It was definitely confusing, for sure. Yes.
Yes, for sure. My friend, and do you have some funny stories about Brazil 135 that you can share with us?
I just there a lot of things have happened on the trail out there. I've got plenty of hallucination stories, and they're no different than anybody else's. And one time when I think it was during the 175, we were close towards the end of the race, and my crew looked at me, and I was shaking my head, and I looked at her, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, are you okay?" And I looked down, and she was standing on there was a dirt patch and a mud patch on the ground. And in my brain, I thought it was a teddy bear. I thought it was a teddy bear. I really did. I was so and I said, "Well," I said, "I'm fine." I said, "But I would do a lot better if you would get your foot off of my teddy bear."
Hmm.
And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're standing on my teddy bear." And I really thought that she was standing on something. I really, at the time, I really did. And there's lots of those things that go on. But one year, I think it was 2014 or 15. I stepped on a sleeping rattlesnake. And
Really?
yeah, and I have a picture of the rattlesnake after it uncoiled. But I didn't realize it at the time. I stepped, and it felt weird, and right after I moved, all of a sudden I heard this really intense rattle sound, and looked down, and there was a rattlesnake uncoiled with its head up looking at me. And thank God it was asleep when I stepped on it. But I don't know if that's a funny story. It's a dangerous story. But
Yes.
yeah, but thank goodness it was asleep, because if it had bitten me, I think that would have been the end. But but it's just I don't it's just there are times in Brazil when you think everything is fine, and then the heavens open up and it rains, or you can't make it up. It's just it goes from hard to ridiculous at times. And it's just again, I think you just have to find the joy in it, the joy and the discomfort and the pain and the suffering, and embrace it for what it is.
Hmm. Yes, yes, we need to try always to have a smile in our face, even with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have
I
some.
try, I try, I try. People always tell me that I look worse than anyone they've ever seen, but I always have a smile on my face. So I said, that's okay.
Mm, yes, we need to keep. It's not easy, but we need to keep.
Yeah.
I have some funny stories in Brazil 135. I already had to cross a fence to run from cows.
Oh yeah.
Yes, from in 2022 from São João da Boa Vista to Águas da Prata. We need to cross the fence because of a lot of cows, and they came to us, and we need to cross the fence. And the other funny story was in Pantano dos Teodoros. During the night, I was in a downhill, and I was like a zombie, my friend. I was terrible, terrible, with a lot of blisters and mud, and the
Yeah.
downhill was so steep. And I looked to ahead of me, and I saw like a bar, and some people cheer up and drinking and dancing and this kind of thing. And I looked to my pacer and let's stop there to take some coke and rest in there. And he said to me, what bar, my friend? There aren't there isn't
Yeah.
any bar ahead of us here. And then
Yeah.
when I started to go close to that, I noticed that was just trees shaking, just trees shaking.
I have thought that I was in the middle of a circus. I have thought that I was in the middle of a restaurant or a bar. Those trees do funny things
Hmm.
at night on the Camino de Fe, because it's dark, you have a lamp, and they're waving, and they turn into people, and they turn into all sorts of things. And yes,
Hmm.
me too.
Yes. When I did the training in the new course, the dragon course, I heard a jaguaro in there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we heard a jaguaro. It
Wow.
was it was close to us, but we didn't see, but we heard the
Okay.
horse. Yes,
Crazy.
but I never saw a snake in there. In there, I never saw a snake in
Yeah,
there.
that was scary. I mean, after like in retrospect, it's a funny story, but it was pretty scary at the time.
Mhm. Yes, yes, for sure. My friend, now I will put a comment here in the screen, and I need you to tell us about this partnership with Rodney.
Ah,
How did you met him?
Rodney. So, oh, Rodney, I love you too. Um, so Rodney has crewed for me 4 times now, and Mario has always been very gracious and very kind to introduce me to good people to take care of me all the years that I've been there.
Hmm.
And I don't know if Mario just didn't like me enough, or something, and hid Rodney from me for the first 6 years that I did the race or something. But finally, 4 or 5 years ago, he told me, he said, he gave me Rodney's contact, and he said, Rodney will take care of you.
Hmm.
And then I come to find out that Rodney's the best crew member in all of Brazil. He's not he's he's not only the strongest crew member in Brazil, he's also a physical therapist, as
Yes.
is his wife, who's also a physical therapist. So it's a one-stop shop. And he's just the best. He's the best. He's a gentle giant. And
Mhm.
he's just a very kind person. His only problem is he talks too much. He talks too much. Everybody he talks to, he talks. So, but
Yes.
he gets very easily distracted.
Mhm. Yes, I know, my friend. He's a good friend of mine also, Rodney.
But see, I didn't know. I didn't know this when I first came to Brazil. Is that the first year I was there, I was running the race with Jerem,
Mhm.
and Jerem speaks fluent Portuguese and knows everybody in Brazil. And every time we would go somewhere, Jerem would stop and talk,
Mhm.
and he wouldn't just say hello. He would stop and he would talk 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And at first we got very frustrated because we're like, we're
Mhm.
running, Jerem. Like, let's go. And then I realized that in Brazil, it's not polite to walk by somebody without having a conversation. Like it's just it's part of life. If you see somebody, you have to stop and you need to talk to them because it's polite. And
Mhm.
it's just the Brazilian way. And Rodney does a very good job of that.
Yes, yes. During ultramarathons, we need to let's say not just wave to the
Right.
to the person, but to talk and how is the race? You need something here.
Yeah.
Here in Brazil, we acted this way here.
It's courtesy, it's just the way. It's another, again, it's a testament to the just the generosity of the Brazilian people in everything that they do.
Mhm. I remember in 2023, one example of this generosity. We are doing the part of Águas da Prata to Andradas, where the cars didn't go because of the mud in
Yeah,
that. And then we bumped it to a ultra runner that he was not feeling well. He was, let's say, not so good. And it was me, my pacer, and three other ultra runners. We all stopped and helped him. We
yeah,
gave him coke, we gave him some salt or something like that, and then we stopped our race and we wait for him to recover, and then he goes.
yeah,
So let's say this is something to me, my friend, that makes me go to the ultra marathon, because in the
yeah,
ultra marathon you help the other.
right,
You don't compete with the other. You are helping the other
yeah,
because everybody is in the same is in the same difficult, let's say.
yeah. And do you know Cesar Moro? You probably Cesar Moro. Do you know
Ah,
Cesar
yes,
Moro? Yeah.
yes. He's
So he has become a very good friend of mine through this race, and he's look at him, he's
yes,
there.
he's here.
He's the best. He is the most inspiring person I have ever met.
Hmm.
And he and his crew helped me greatly a few years ago when I had food poisoning and I was really, really, really in bad shape.
Hmm.
And he and his crew took care of me. And he was there this year battling cancer and chemotherapy, and just it's an inspiration.
Hmm. Yes, for sure. He will be the ultra runner that I will interview next Wednesday. He will
Ah,
come.
good.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, good for you. Good for him. Yeah,
yes,
he's just a beautiful. He's a beautiful soul.
Yes, for sure, my friend. Other comment from Cesar?
I love you. Love you too.
And now we have a comment that you will love it also.
Ah,
Mario is
Mario.
with us.
Mario. Mario is crazy. And everybody knows Mario is crazy. But we love him, and he's a second father to me, and he's just very special.
Hmm. Yes, he's fantastic. I don't have words to say about him. He said that he just landed in Miami.
Ah, good. Yeah, wonderful.
My friend, this year the athletes that I interviewed, I already interviewed the champion of the 150 miles and the Spanish couple also, and they said to me that the weather conditions was good in the Brazil 135 because didn't have rain and
Yeah,
the roads were good. Uh,
yeah,
it was Brazil 135 that we are talking about because this looks like impossible.
yeah. It was the best weather, I think, of any edition that I've done. The only difficult part was it was very sunny and
Hmm.
very hot during the middle of the day. The second day, the first day was cloudy and very nice. The second day, it was very hot and a little bit difficult. But there was, I think, I think we got rain for maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And other than that, it was completely dry. And the course was almost immaculate. I mean, the course had almost no mud,
Hmm.
almost zero,
The
which is
athlete,
unheard of.
the athlete said this to me, and I regret to didn't go this year to Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely was the best weather that I've seen. And because, as we've talked about, when you add the rain to that course, it
Hmm.
changes everything.
Yes.
It changes your ability to go up, it changes your ability to go down. It turns dry into slick and to muddy, and it just makes everything more difficult.
Hmm.
Blisters and gear and everything.
Hmm. You usually do the Brazil 135 with trail shoes or asphalt shoes?
I mean, I technically asphalt shoes the Bondi, the Hoka Bondi, because it's just cushion. I
Hmm.
don't, I think for Brazil is not a very technical course. The track is very wide. I mean, there are areas with a lot of rocks and so on, but it's not a technical course. It's
Hmm.
just an incredibly hilly course with a lot of rocks. And I think for me, it's just having a cushion shoe more than anything, not really a traction shoe, having a shoe with cushion.
Hmm. Yes, I think the same because we don't have trails in Brazil.
Yeah.
And my friend, other curiosity, I would like to know how did you deal with the sleep during the second night? You try to sleep during the course, or you don't have problem with sleep?
Well, normally I never sleep. I generally don't sleep, but this year we were not very far from Parasopolis, and it was nighttime, and I was just having a really really difficult time staying awake.
Hmm.
And with the fact that it was night and I couldn't see, my vision at night is very poor. And we decided to sleep for 5 or 6 hours,
Hmm.
which I generally never do that. But it felt great. Because my fear is that you sleep for 5 or 6 hours and you wake up and you feel worse.
Mhm.
And a lot of people always say they sleep and they wake up and they feel better, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to sleep and wake up and feel worse.
Mhm.
So this was the first year that I've actually slept during the race.
Mhm. Yes, I can't say the same for you. I have a terrible problem with the second night. I feel like a
Yeah,
zombie. I need to take
it's
some.
difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Mhm. Today, last year, the other ultramarathon that I did, I entered in the third night. The third night.
Yeah, that was kind of what we did with the 175
Hmm.
when there was the longer version. I think we went into the third night. I don't even remember. I just know it was long.
Hmm. Yes, it's terrible. It's like a torture, I think.
Yeah, yeah, very much, very much.
My friend, I will put here some comments. We are here with Cesar Moro, Rodney, Mario. Here we have Zilma. Zilma
Ah,
Rodriguez.
Zilma, she's my hero. She's amazing.
Yes, she's amazing.
She took a picture with my daughter at the race, and my daughter was very very excited about it. She thought it was amazing.
Your daughter is always with you in Brazil 135.
She's gone the last 3 years. Yeah, so she's been there 3 times,
Good. Here we
and
have
she
an
loves Rodney. Ah, Renan, I love him. He's wonderful.
he says that
Ah,
when
grow up. Uh, he has incredible potential as a runner. Very gracious heart and a very sweet, very very sweet person.
yes, I think the same. He's a friend of mine also. Uh, Here we have Luis Baruti. He made up a question for you.
How much water per do you use to drink it for with the warmings? So I generally would drink probably two 20-ounce bottles of an hour. Sometimes more, but generally, my rule for my rule for bad water, and even training here, is to drink at least two handheld bottles an hour. So probably 40 to 60 ounces of fluid.
Hmm.
And to make sure that there's, if it's not just water, to have some sort of electrolyte in it, whether it's a S cap or sodium cap or some sort of salt pill or Tailwind or Hammer Nutrition or something that has salt, has electrolytes in it.
Hmm. In Brazil 135, you use it to have the lunch, to have the dinner, or what you eat during the race.
I start mostly with liquid, and I eat solid food as it goes. I mean, you've done these races enough that sometimes solid food is good, sometimes solid food is not good. But I find fruit is always a very good thing. Fruit is good. It's got good sugar. It goes in pretty easy. The thing that the most important thing about these races is your calorie intake. And there's actually a lot of research about taking in a proper amount of calories. So say 200 or 300 calories an hour.
Hmm.
And it's very important to do that however you do it, whether it's through liquid or through eating solid food, but to take that 200 to 300 calories an hour for the first 10 or 12 hours of your race. Because if you don't do that in the initial part of your race, you will end up depleted.
Hmm.
And sometimes early in races, people don't eat enough or drink enough because they don't think they need the calories, but they do. and if you don't have them early, you'll pay for not having them late.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. You need to
Because
have.
it gets more difficult. 20 hours in the race,
Mm-hmm.
it's more difficult to eat and drink at times, and it's a lot easier early. So when you have the chance to get the calories, you should get the calories.
Mm-hmm. Let's say that you will have like a reserve.
Yeah,
Let's.
have a reserve for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. But you used to have lunch, normal dinner, or something like that. Like let's say, rice and beans, or.
Rice and beans. Yeah, yeah. I said something very simple, rice and bean or soup at
Mm-hmm.
night. There's always all these amazing little, cafes and stores in these little towns that you go through, and they always have good strong coffee, and they often have good soup, and they often make really good egg and cheese sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Those are always good in the morning. And sometimes a hamburger, maybe if it tastes good.
Did you have the pasta during the night in Donna Natalina?
I have had it every year, but 3 years ago I got sick from the pasta.
Really?
Because I think the meat, something in the meat, not that the meat was fine, but because of my American belly,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there was some different bacteria or something that I wasn't used to. But for whatever reason, I got sick after I ate the pasta. It's only happened once.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very bad experience.
Uh,
But because
mm,
it's a shame, because that I look forward to that pasta more than anything. That's the best part of the race. So
yeah.
I told them anytime we go back now, we just have to get the pasta with no meat. Just pasta.
Yes, just pasta. Pasta. Yes, yes, yes. It's a pity because it's so delicious. I like it a lot.
It is
Also.
good. It's very good, and they always have good coffee too.
Yes, yes, my friend. Uh, let's put the other comment here. Alan,
Oh yeah.
can you tell us about your next challenge this year?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna take a bit of a break for now, but what I would like to do, the first 100-mile race that I ever ran was the Leadville 100, and I would like to go back and do the Leadville 100. And if it's not this August, 2025, I will probably do that next August, 2025. But I would like to come back to Brazil next year or the year after and do the entire Camino de Fe again, the Path of Faith, because that's just a wonderful experience.
Mm, I need to do the whole Camino de Fe. Also, I need to
It's
do.
it's a really it's a really wonderful experience.
Hmm. Yes, I don't know how to say, but when I was in the Brazil 135, it's like it's difficult to describe what you feel about, let's say, religious thing.
Yeah,
It's I don't know if you feel like the presence of God with you.
yeah.
It's
I
it's.
think there's something, my sort of my sort of religious background is more, if there is something that you can believe in that brings power to you, then that's important, and I definitely believe that there's some sort of a higher something out there watching over.
Mhm,
And I think there's when you're on the Camino de Fe, there's definitely a spiritual presence, around everything. And maybe, there's a very strong religious, part of the Camino, but there's something you can't explain, like you said, that's just kind of there.
mhm. Yes, yes. This is the same feeling that I have. My friend, now I would like you to tell us about your shoes because we saw in Rodney Instagram about your shoes without
Yeah,
the toolbox in it, and I would
yeah.
like you to tell us about this curious thing.
Yeah, so there's a friend of mine who's an American runner. His name is Joe Fegis, and he's a very, very accomplished American ultra runner, and done been on the U.S. 24-hour team and things, many, many, many accomplishments. And he years ago he started cutting the front part of his toe out of his shoe, just the first 2 inches or so, and he did it to prevent blisters,
Mm,
to help prevent, because every time when you hit the front of your shoe, the pressure of the toe and the causing blisters. And for some people it's a problem, for some people it's not. For me, I tend to run on my toes, so I tend to hit down. So when I go down hills and things, I have a lot of pressure. So I started doing this routinely for ultra marathons. Now, not for like marathons or shorter races, but for ultra marathons, I started doing that, cutting the toe box out. And it doesn't prevent blisters, but it makes a big difference. And people always say, don't you get dirt and all these things, when you're on the trail in your shoe? It's not a problem. It's really not. And I have found it helps preserve my feet. It gives them room to kind of breathe, and it just I've had less blisters ever since I've started doing it.
mhm.
But
But you have,
there are not a lot of people who do it. So 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 I don't know. I'm not sure how beneficial it is, but it works for me.
mhm. But you have blisters in the heels or no?
Very few. I rarely get blisters in the heels. I usually get blisters in my toes.
Okay, okay. So now you are not facing blisters anymore.
No, almost, yeah. I mean, very little, very
Mhm.
little.
You are lucky. I think I will need to do this also to
It
to.
it works. People don't like to destroy a pair of shoes, but it works.
Mhm. Yes, because of my last experience in these big ultra marathons, I had like 9, 10 blisters in my.
That's, yeah. Ouch, ouch.
Yes, and I need to bear with the pain like 50 kilometers. It was insane,
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. Ugh, painful.
Yes. So I need to find out a way to don't suffer with this.
Yeah,
But it makes you, let's say, resilient with the pain.
yeah. It helps. I mean, it makes a big, yeah. I mean, and Rodney takes good care of them too when I do have them. So
Mhm. Here a comment, other comment here. We were talking about the car
yeah.
that got stuck in the trail. Audio is with us.
Ah.
Yes, the owner of the that car that got stuck in
Oh
the trail.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Well, amazing. He's a legend.
He,
He's
he's
done
he's
every Brazil.
yes, he's saying to us, I am not understand what you are saying. I missed this class, but congratulations for you.
That's good. I love it. I
Yes,
love it.
Aureo is a legend. He did all Brazil
All
135.
20. Yeah.
Yes, yes, he's
Yeah.
the spirit.
Amazing. Amazing.
My friend, I saw that you finished Brazil 135 in the 135 miles. Uh, uh, you didn't want to go to the 150 miles.
No, I was good. I I was good. This was my 10th time finishing the race.
Hmm.
And I asked Mario, I said, if I run to Luminosa and run 135 miles, is that official, my 10th official race? And he said yes. And I said, that's enough. So maybe if it was my first or second race, I might have run the extra miles, but this year it was good. It was enough.
Hmm. Yes, I can imagine it. You avoided to do the downhill from Luminosa.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I just I've spent a lot of years on that course, and
Mm.
I had just as much as I needed this year.
My friend, other question here from Renan. He's asking you about what's your favorite part of the course and the part that you don't like so much.
I never enjoy Pico de Gavio because of the going the up and the down. And you see people coming down, you see people going up. It's just I don't know. I always dread Pico de Gavio because you know exactly how long it is and exactly where it ends and exactly what it is. And I always don't look forward to that part of the course, and it's always a relief to get through it because it's not really part of the Camino de Fe. It's its own little part, and
Mm.
it's almost like Mario's little extra torture just for fun, right? Instead of going straight, let's have you go, 3 miles up and 3 miles down. Why not? And so I just always dread that part of the course.
Mm.
But I think I've always coming into Parasopolis during the day. If you're able to do it during the day, the very, very last that the last turnoff on the way to Parasopolis, I believe it's about 8 kilometers when you turn off the road to Parasopolis, that last 8 kilometers, I really enjoy that part, especially during the day. And I think it's you get to enjoy your accomplishment and what you've done and you get to sort of see the city coming, and it's always just a very joyful part for me.
Mhm. Yes, I can imagine it because it's close to the end of the.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, yes, I enjoyed a lot this part, but let's say just 500 meters before the before because I was facing a lot of blisters in 2023, and it was
Yeah.
good to step also. It was not so easy.
Yeah,
And
the
then
worst part of the course, the other worst part of the course is really just from I think it's between Toco de Mojo and Estiva.
mm,
There's like three climbs, right? I think, and there are two or three of the worst climbs in um the whole race,
mhm,
and they're awful. They're just awful. And I think one of them has about 80% of it is pavers or paved. I always tell people when the road is paved in Brazil, it's a bad sign because
mm.
they pave the road because it's so steep. And
Yes.
so when there's pavers, it's always a bad sign. And there's some of those climbs are just they're awful. They're awful. But the other is the um to Heaven's Gate. I love the climb to Heaven's Gate.
Mhm.
To Port, how do you say Porto Sul?
Porteira do Céu.
Um Porto Sul, yeah. I love that climb.
Mhm.
It's difficult, but it's worth it.
Yes. Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Uh, you say to me the for me the awful part is this between Tocos do Mogi and Stiva. The awful part.
Yeah, so hard.
Yes, in 2023 I took 6 hours and 30 minutes to do it.
There you go. It's
Yes,
hard.
because of we faced a thunderstorm in there, and then I was with the blisters and I was barely walking, and you have the mud in the downhills. It was very difficult, and during the night it was the part that I had the hallucination about the bar.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
Yes.
that's just one of those, that's one of those parts where, there's a couple climbs there where every time you turn, it goes back up. And you think you get to the top, and then it turns and it goes back up, and you think you get to the top and you turn and it goes back up, and I still, Rodney will stop the car, and I think we're at the top, and I'll be like, "Oh God, that was awful." And then Rodney says, "Oh no, 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 2 more kilometers." Like, 2 more kilometers, climb? Yes, 2 more kilometers. Like, oh my God, oh my God, and it just again, like I said earlier, is the word is relentless. It just doesn't stop. The
Yes.
course, it's so difficult, and it's just very difficult.
And you see Steva 3 or 4 times and never came.
Yeah. Yeah, Estiva is the farthest city for some reason. Like, you can never get there. Every year I go to Estiva, you never get there. It's like we're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. An hour later, we're almost there. Like, you never get there. And I think 3 or 4 years that I've run the race, I feel like I've taken a wrong turn or something, because I think that there's no way we're not there yet, right?
Yeah.
No, but it seems like it's so, I don't know, keeps going farther and farther.
Yes, you'll never get in there. You'll never get to the Steva. It's true. It's true. My friend, now I would like to know about your recovery. How is your recovery going?
It's actually going very well. I took a few days where I work nights. I'm a physician, and I work from home, and I work nights. And so I had to work the night that I got home from Brazil, and I had to work the 7 nights after that. So it's been kind of a long week for me, a little bit tiring. Um, but fortunately, I have 2 dogs, and I walk them every day. So that's been a good part of recovery. And I actually went for a couple short little runs the last couple days, just to kind of feel better, and they felt pretty good. So I'm feeling a lot better.
Hmm. And you do some kind of other sports to keep moving?
I don't do a lot. I mean, I mostly just do kind of cross training stuff, a little bit of lifting here and there, and then if it's not running, it's rucking with the pack, or other things, but mostly kind of cardio stuff. I don't. My daughter's a big swimmer, but
Mhm.
I've never really enjoyed. I mean, swimming is an amazing exercise, but I've never really enjoyed it.
I like to do the swim, but I have some problems with my shoulder.
Yeah,
My medical just don't allow me to do swimming because of that.
right.
Yes, I have like let, let's just see the word here now.
Rotator cuff, maybe.
No, it's like let's fissure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a
Like
fissure
a
here.
tear, labral tick, a tear. Yeah.
Yes, and when I do this movement, the swimming movement, it causes me some pain, so I
Pain.
need to
Yeah.
avoid. Yes,
Gotcha.
my friend. So last question for you. 1 hour and 13 minutes. I would like to know if you have some ultra that you dream about to do. Let's say Spartathlon or something or some other kind of ultra.
Uh, you know, there's really nothing that I haven't been able to do that I've wanted to do. I've done Badwater, I've done Brazil, I've done Spartathlon.
Spartathlon.
I have. I don't really have a desire to do Arrowhead because I don't like the cold.
Me too.
It's way way too cold for me. I would actually like to run the Comrades Marathon someday.
Mm.
I think that would be just, it's such an iconic race. I think it would be a really neat race to be a part of.
Hmm. It's good. It's good. Conrad, it's good. It's
And I'd like to go back to. I'd like to do the Camino de Fe again. Not the race, not just Brazil the race, but just the whole Camino de Fe.
mhm. Yes, I need to do also the Camino da Fé. Here in Brazil, I am trying to do all the bigger races here in Brazil.
Yeah, good.
Yes, I did Brazil 135 in 2023. Last year, I did Caminhos de Rosa. I don't know if you heard about.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I did this. On March, I will do the Caminhos de Caravaggio,
Okay.
the race, and I am planning to do the Rio Mountain Race also,
Oh, great.
and they will miss the Y and the Extremo Sul, the six races that I am planning to do, but I don't know if I will be able to do. Let's see.
One at a time.
Yes, I dream about bad water, my friend, but it's so expensive. I will need to have some
It's
kind of sponsorship to do it.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Let me know. I'll help you. I'll crew you.
Good, good, good. If but I will need to save a lot of money
Yeah.
to do it. Yes.
It's an expensive race, for sure, because it's also very remote.
Hmm. Yes, yes. I think even for you, no. Also,
Yeah.
it's expensive
Yeah.
because it's in the other part of the United States.
Yeah, it's outside of Las Vegas, but Death Valley is, it's 2 or 3 hours
Hmm.
from Las Vegas. So it's even to fly somewhere, you still have to drive significantly to get there because it's really in a very remote place.
Hmm. And you said about Arrowhead. I had the opportunity to interview the race organizer, and he said some stuffs to me that I can't. I will never do this race. I'll never do this race. He said
Too
to me
cold.
about the wolves. He said to me about the minus 50 degrees.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't do that.
Yes, you need to drag your sled. Also,
Yeah, no, too much. I've done one cold weather race and that was enough.
I never did, and I don't want also.
Yeah, I did one in Minnesota. It's called the Tuscobia 150.
Ah, Tescovia. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good race. But that was one and done. That was enough.
Hmm.
Drag a sled and it was enough. Minus 20,
That's
too cold.
too much. Too much. Did you do the Keys 100, my friend?
I did. I've done the Keys twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
Western States.
I've done Western States once too. Yep.
So you already do all the ultramarathons that I dream of.
Yeah, I picked a lot of good ones. I picked a lot of good ones. I got into Western States.
Hmm.
Now I think this year there were some ridiculous amount of like 5 or 6 thousand applicants or something like that. And when I did it in 2010, it wasn't quite as popular.
Hmm.
But I had one ticket and I got picked, and that's almost never happens.
Hmm.
So I got in and went, and it was great. I did well and enjoyed it, and it was a great race. It's a great race.
You dreamed about I forgot now the name the Chamonix the Chamonix course, the UTMB Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc.
Yeah, I that's another race that I think would be really fun to do. I think the unfortunate thing about UTMB is it's also gotten very commercialized, like a
Hmm.
lot of these bigger races, and I don't know if it's as enjoyable as it used to be. It's just, you know what I mean? It's harder to get into. There's more rules. It's harder to find places to stay. I think it's just when ultra marathons were less popular, those kind of races were a little more unique in their own way. But it's such a historic race that I think it would be really amazing to do someday. I just don't know, and now there's so many stipulations with qualifications and all these different things and lotteries and stuff. It's not that easy to get into.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
Um, but I think it would be great to do. The atmosphere is pretty amazing.
Hmm. Like in Conrad's also, the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, my friend, so I will end our conversation here. It was a pleasure to have you here talking to Brazil the first time, and hope I will meet you again in Brazil 135. Let's say next year. I don't know, but
Yeah, maybe
it was a pleasure.
Rodney will try to get me to come back, so we'll see.
Hmm. Yes.
We'll see. You never know.
So we'll see, my friend. So many thanks, and have a good
Yeah,
evening.
thank you so much. The pleasure was all mine. I really appreciate it.
And many thanks, friends that are with us here. We have four now. We had like a 10, and the people
Great.
will watch after because of the subtitles. YouTube
Yeah,
will generate
perfect.
subtitles.
Perfect. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, my friend. So, good evening, and
All right, you too.
nos vemos no caminho.
Ah, no sé, vamos a camino. Yep.